It's increasingly expensive and increasingly exclusive. The value of Australian farmland is surging, and in some parts it seems no price tag is too high.
Well, we are at risk of becoming like Sydney-siders, where every time we all get together or we're at a dinner party or something, all we talk about is real estate.
I'd have more buyers on my books at the minute than I've had in almost the whole time I've been in the game.
It's near impossible for us, just as managers, to be getting into the industry.
According to specialist lender Rural Bank, the average annual growth rate in farmland values has been 7.5% over the last 20 years. It's similar to returns on the ASX and better than the 4.4% growth in the residential housing market.
When I started in 1994, the pick of the country in this district was $700 an acre, and the lesser country was down from that.
It's a fair bit more dearer these days.
Well, it's jumped significantly to somewhere between nearly 10 times that amount.
Western Victorian real estate agent Gary Todd says the current market is red hot. A property not far from here recently sold for $9,550 an acre, or $23,588 a hectare, more than 3 times Victoria's median price.
People just a little bit gobsmacked, but the thing that still amazes me, as soon as you get a new parcel of land for sale, the inquiry rate's through the roof.
Nationally, the ownership picture is complex. Global and Australian investment funds are still very active in the market, but often it's the neighbours, especially those that have grown into large family agribusinesses, who are prepared to pay the most.
With the current prices, I think even the locals are blowing the corporates out of the water.
I think there's also just the realisation as there are fewer and fewer transactions coming to market in any given year that people are realising they've just got to act now, because that parcel of land may not be available for a substantial period of time.
This land, near Henty in southern New South Wales, was recently owned by the Westchester Group, a major corporate investor in agricultural land. So Kelly, this is the latest purchase.
Yep, this is Westwood, so we're just in the middle of sowing it for the first time.
It's off and away.
Up and away, right into it.
Farmer Kelly Penfold says a neighbouring patch of land was too good to pass up.
We didn't really need to expand business-wise. We were going okay, we were pretty happy with how we're going. So it was more a chance to harness both low interest rates and our equity to be able to make a better investment, I suppose, for the long term.
6-8, 6-8, 6-8, they're going to put one.
Debt is cheap. Demand for agricultural commodities is strong, and globally, arable land is shrinking. So, for Kelly Penfold and her husband Rowan Barr, the business case for buying more farmland was clean cut.
Whether we borrow money to buy investment property, either residential or commercial, whether we go into a start-up business, whether we borrow money to buy shares, and at the end of the day, farming land was what probably stacked up the best for us.
While it doesn't provide a direct source of income, there's some big benefits to the rising value of farmland. It gives an underlying sense of confidence amid the ups and downs of things like weather and commodity markets, and puts those that already own it in the front seat to buy more. But increasingly, it's putting a fence around the industry, one that first-time buyers are finding it increasingly difficult to get over.
It's a huge barrier. Basically, to come up with that type of money, plus on top of that you need to have the money for the livestock, plant and equipment to actually have an operating business. It's very challenging.
Damien and Tony Maloney are regenerative farming experts and cattle property managers. Despite their significant experience, the conditions set by banks for farmland purchases puts their dream of owning one impossibly out of reach.
Equity the banks are needing, it's at 60%. We were probably like near on a lifetime to get 60% equity to get into a $5 or $6 million property.
Look, I think it's an issue that structurally we need to turn our minds to as an agricultural sector.
While first-time farmers and families working through succession plans can access some state and federal government assistance, nothing really helps tackle the central problem. Land is just too expensive for many.
It's not the cost of debt that's the issue at the moment, it's the availability of debt for people that need to buy their first property, because it's quite expensive to get that first block of land. There is no silver bullet, there's no single answer.
The Maloneys are part of the Cultivate Farm program, a business that helps aspiring farmers match with retiring farmers or investors. And if everything goes according to plan, they'll be able to own or perhaps lease their own property.
For me and Tony, it's one of our only shots of getting into the industry and having a property of our own that is actually viable.
A dream with an expensive price tag.
It probably is pretty hard to get into farming from scratch these days if you desire to own land, but you don't need to own land to be a farmer.